Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, I have two more bizarre stories, folks. One involving a possible shadow child or black-eyed child that apparently became the member of a family, and another article detailing these mysterious white blobby entities. Let's read this first article, The Shadow Child Who Became My Son, a Paranormal Family Encounter, and read his entire story, folks. While sitting beside his dying mother, a man was stunned to see shadowy figures appear in the doorway, one of them a child who seemed to foreshadow the future. Weeks later, when his wife gave birth to a boy who matched the mysterious child's silhouette, the question lingered. Had he witnessed a glimpse of his son's spirit before birth, or something even more unexplainable? Maybe, folks, let's read on, and then we can theorize about this, folks. It was probably about 20 years ago. I was sitting beside my mother, who was dying of cancer. As I looked at her, I suddenly heard my grandma's voice. She had already passed away, so it was strange to hear her. I turned around thinking she might be right there in the room with me. Instead, I saw three shadowy figures in the doorway of the bedroom. A man, my grandma, and a small child. I could see the shape of a man next to her, and she seemed to be holding the child from behind while pointing towards me, saying, "Hey, that's going to be your father. He's really going to love you." It's been said before, folks, that shadow beings might be ghosts. Maybe this is proof of that fact, folks, and maybe they're even the spirits of people who have yet to be born. That is indeed very intriguing. But is it the truth or not, folks? Let's read on, and then we can basically discuss this afterwards. I stood up and walked toward the door. As I approached them, they turned around and started walking away. They went around the corner towards the front door steps and began to ascend the steps. The little one turned around and looked at me while the two bigger figures walked through the wall and disappeared. Then the child turned back and walked through the door, vanishing as well. A couple of weeks later, at 3:30 in the morning, I woke up from a deep sleep to see the small shadow child I had seen earlier at that time. My wife, Jackie, was pregnant. I sat up in bed, startled, and tapped her on the shoulder to wake her so she could see it too. The child was in the doorway, and I could see his silhouette. He had a round afro haircut and looked to be about 3 years old. I called out to him, saying, "Come here," but he shook his head. I got out of bed and repeated, "Come on, come over here," again. He shook his head. I proceeded to walk toward him, and as I did, he turned and began to run. I rushed into the hallway of the house, which led straight to the balcony, sliding patio door. He ran right through the door and out toward the back. A couple of weeks later, my wife gave birth to our baby, and it was a boy. He ended up having curly hair, just like my mom did when he was little. His silhouette looked just like the shadow child I had seen to me. It was a friendly experience, Jay. I'm glad for this man, folks. It looks like maybe he got a greeting from the future, perhaps, as if basically the future somehow imprinted itself onto the past. Now, could this be an experience of someone seeing their child before they were born? Or was this something far stranger, perhaps? Maybe these alien entities, perhaps, said that this was going to be your father in the future as a way to basically make this man think that they were friendly. It's not that they were unfriendly, folks, but maybe they were there and they took the forms of his grandmother and basically other people in his family, perhaps, and maybe even his son, who will be born in the future, folks, because they wanted to basically remain calm and not frighten the living daylights out of him, perhaps. It's an idea, and perhaps a very good one. But honestly, we can't be for sure. Do you think that these entities are friendly, folks? Do you think that this was indeed a man seeing a glimpse of his son to be born in the future? Or was there something else, something weirder going on? Maybe there are things going on we just don't know about, folks, and that the real truth, if we were to ever learn it, would be far more bizarre than what we just discussed right here in this, article right now. But folks, let's move on to the next story. In this article, Flying Blob Encounter, Translucent Anomaly Beyond Explanation in Henderson, West Virginia, and hear what the witnesses saw and how they encountered this bizarre alien entity, perhaps, and maybe the theories behind it, folks. Because it sounds like to me that this flying blob, entity, it's probably maybe another story involving the atmospheric beasts. So let's read on and read the opening and get to the real story then. In 1989, a mother and daughter driving through rural Henderson, West Virginia, came face to face with a massive translucent blob gliding across the road, an anomaly unlike any known creature. Was this eerie, cloud-like cryptid a rare atmospheric entity, or a glimpse into something far stranger than, that defies classification? Perhaps. Let's read their account now, folks. Hi, Lon. I read the article titled Flying Cryptid in County Durham, United Kingdom, and it reminded me of something I witnessed. My sighting occurred in a rural area of Henderson, West Virginia in 1989. I was visiting a friend with my daughter, and I was on my way home in the afternoon. The weather was partly sunny with clouds in the sky. It wasn't rainy or misty. Okay, that's indeed interesting, folks. So, they encountered this entity, and there was nothing, falling from the sky, no explanation to what this could be, no natural explanation from the sounds of it, folks. So they couldn't blame it on basically mist or maybe a cloud or even fog or even on the rain, folks. So it sounds so far like this entity was something that was really in front of them. Could it have been maybe some sort of balloon, perhaps? They said it was like this, flying white blob. That almost sounds like basically a balloon to me, folks. Maybe a helium balloon, but I can't be for sure. Let's read on and find out. As we were driving down an incline, we spotted something strange crossing the road from the left side to the right. It was probably no more than 50 feet away from us. The object described in the article was much smaller than what my daughter and I saw. I watched it disappear and asked my daughter if she had seen anything. She confirmed that she had. What we observed was roughly the size of a horse or cow, and it had a white, translucent appearance without any identifiable head, tail, or appendages. It resembled a large oval-shaped blob that we could see through. It was like watching a tiny cloud or a mass of fog moving on its own. The object was flying or gliding quickly across the road and disappeared on the other side. It moved in a straight line without weaving or bobbing. We only had a glimpse of it for about 5 seconds. I had never seen anything like it before and haven't encountered anything similar since. Although I have never reported, I've always remembered my sighting, especially when I read about the ones in the UK. That's good to know about, folks, and a very strange story to boot. What was actually seen here, folks? Could it have been, perhaps, maybe a sign of a very unusual glimmerman, perhaps? I'm saying that because it gives me the same feelings. And what they saw here, while it didn't basically reflect or basically was see-through like the way most people describe glimmerman encounters, it still gives me that same feeling. Now, we've talked about before, folks, that maybe the Glimmermen, maybe they're part of some sort of secret organization test running some sort of top secret camouflage gear. Maybe this was another thing along similar lines, but I can't be for sure. As you can see from the picture I used in my video here, folks, this picture of these white blobby, balloons gives you an idea of what these people saw. Now, they described it as basically being like a cloud or like a mist or like even a basically just, I guess, a blob. And if you saw this, or should any of these yourselves, folks, and they literally look like flying blobs of, blobby balloons, perhaps, you would probably describe them in the same manner. Now, could it have been that these entities were atmospheric beasts, folks? They've been described as looking like jellyfish, or like basically, flying underwater, life, like say, crabs, or maybe, I guess even, as I said, maybe squids. But that doesn't sound exactly what we basically heard in the story here, folks. They sounded like basically blobs. So maybe more along the line of, say, jellyfish, or it may be like some sort of, maybe, I guess, I'm trying to find the right word for this, folks. Perhaps maybe some sort of tadpole or other, maybe life that we'd find in the ocean. But that's just me basically coming up with ideas here, folks. Were they aliens, perhaps? Like in the last article, folks, I said that maybe these shadowy beings were alien beings, and they took the forms of, say, this guy's grandmother, and maybe even his own child, or basically give him an image of what his child was going to be, look like when it was born, as a way to basically placate this man and keep him calm, so that they could observe this man and perhaps not have him freak out. Maybe. Either way, both stories are very interesting, folks, and we'll have to talk about similar stories again in the future. But we're at the end. So please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions of the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video. So be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.